Okay, first of all, this is going to be kind of a weird review because I had been shown this album by a very good friend, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, but I did enjoy it a lot. I will have the friend that had shown me the album be joining me today in this video, Noah SKRINDE, otherwise known as 101 Productions, otherwise known as Dubs 101, will be joining me in this video today, talk about the album with me, double review kind of thing.
Hello everyone, I am Noah SKRINDE. I am a singer-songwriter and music producer, and today I will be helping Colin review J-Hope's Jack in the Box.
Today we're talking about the semi-new J-Hope album, Jack in the Box. It recently just came out. Surprisingly, this album is genuinely really good. I was going into it expecting another mainstream pop album from the member of BTS, J-Hope, but as I went into the album, there is so much more experimentation and just interesting stuff happening here that I did not expect to hear when I first listened to this album, which totally caught me off guard. Now, I would hold up a CD of the album, but apparently they didn't want to do a CD, and they did like some thing where you could buy some cardboard and then it had like a link to the digital album. I don't really know why, because you're still technically wasting cardboard, because their entire thing was to save the planet, but then they still use cardboard to package it. It was kind of weird. Anyways, on to this album.
J-Hope is one of the members of BTS, one of the biggest K-pop bands in the world right now. Maybe even the biggest band in the world right now. My initial thoughts of the album were shock. His last album was like all upbeat and chill, and all of his BTS solo stuff is upbeat and chill. So it being this like really grungy style that Colin usually likes, well, shocked me. I then showed it to Colin. He loved it, like I thought, so now let's get into the actual thoughts for the album.
The first track, Intro, is just a radio station kind of sounding thing, and it introduces the second track, which would be Pandora's Box. This song actually has a horrorcore instrumental, and there's some old school style rap going on here, which is pretty interesting considering that J-Hope is mainly a mainstream pop rap singer. The vocals do end up getting pretty fast at some points and are actually really good. Eventually there's these pianos towards the middle/end that come in, and they're also extremely cool, and like, they're just really interesting to hear.
Alright, my thoughts on the intro. It's basically just reading off the Greek myth of Pandora. Nothing special about it. I mean, it could have been an actual song, but it does set the stage for the rest of the album, because Pandora's box talks about chaos released upon the world, or well, bad things really, and this is all about J-Hope's bad, darker side. I forgot what such a banger Pandora's box is. The way it's produced just gives you, it's such a bop. It hits so hard sometimes. Me re-listening to all these songs as I review them is just, it reminds me why I like J-Hope's music on his BTS solo tracks, songs he wrote for BTS, and just solo work. But my thoughts on this, it hits hard. That's really all I can say. When it kind of dumbs down and goes bow, 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 fast rapping, and then goes, it just hits differently. I don't know what to say. I haven't reviewed anything at all.
The song More has a more mainstream sound to it though, but it's not following the casual pop sound that BTS and J-Hope would usually go for. There are these like screaming vocals near the middle which are actually really cool, and I'm pretty sure were performed and sang by J-Hope himself.
More was the first track the whole fan base listens to because it premiered 2 weeks before the rest of the album, I think. The music video was a shock to like every BTS because it was just so different from anything Hybe, the company, has produced before. The sound, it's just this like grunge rock. It gets this like rock feel mixed with the hip hop stuff. Everything in this album just gets so different.
This next song, Stop, has this really cool like instrumental that kind of happens between little interludes during the song, and there's some pretty catchy lyrics and a bouncy beat that goes on throughout the song. Not much to say about this one though.
The producing of Stop is it's very simple, but his flow over it is just so complex. It's a very interesting choice. And then the samples in the background are like police arresting someone. Something I didn't like about this song is the repetition. The chorus is just stop, stop, stop. I don't really like repetition like that. So one thing I would change is cut out the repetition.
The song Equal Sign has sort of a vaporwave beat. I wouldn't really call it vaporwave, but maybe more ambient. The vocal delivery is great, but the song does go for a more popish sound, which sounds a little too mainstream, but it's still pretty interesting nonetheless.
Alright, next up is Equal Sign. This song is what I thought this album was gonna be, because I know he's been working on his singing voice, and you can definitely hear it in this song, because it is much better than it used to be, I'll say that. Army is gonna come after me for that. The transition between him singing rap is just so good. The way this song was produced, it is again simple, but the vocals and the rap in it are so good. This is probably my favorite song because his vocals.
The song Music Box Reflection is yet another interlude with some pretty cool drums near the end.
This is basically just a regular, like, interlude. Nothing really special about it. It's a music box playing.
Which then moves on to the song What If. I didn't expect this, but it starts with an ODB sample. The vocals are pretty catchy and interesting, but it does start to get repetitive after a while. It is still an interesting track with the manipulation of the sample of just the 2-note piano melody, eventually going like higher in pitch and lower in pitch and being all manipulated. It's pretty interesting to hear.
This one was the one Colin liked because it was a sample of something. Yeah, he knew the artist it sampled from, and it is, again, the repetition. The repetition. I don't like the repetition. Stop doing repetition. The whole song is just repetition, but the producing makes up for it. It is so good. Even though it's repetition, does go kind of hard.
The song Safety Zone has some pretty cool sounds that are similar to the band Triple X, which, if you didn't know, is another experimental Korean hip-hop band. There is a more pop-ish feel to it, which is kind of a turn-off. The vocal delivery is good and the samples are also good, but this one has more of a kind of pop sound to it, which it's not really my thing.
Now, Safety Zone. Again, with the vocal in this song, it was so surprising for me. This is also kind of similar to what I thought it would be like, the slow J-Hope style. It's kind of jazzy. Yeah, it's kind of jazzy. And then at the end, there's an actual vocal. And then Future.
The next song, Future, is where it starts to get more poppy. These songs get a little more on the pop side of things near the end. It doesn't really sound all that great, but it does show some more experimentation on the pop sound that BTS and J-Hope would usually go for. The vocal delivery, again, is pretty cool, and the instrumental is also interesting as well.
His vocal in that is very, very, very good. His flow is very clever. Oh my god, the kid singing at the end was such, like, it fits. But why? I don't understand. Why? The kid's singing doesn't have to be there. His vocal's really good.
The song Arson was the single that was released before the album. Has a very horrorcore-ish style of lyrics, and the delivery is also kind of horrorcore based, but it does have a very mainstream sound to it, and kind of died down on me after first listen. One thing I found really interesting is that the vocal delivery actually sounds a lot like JPEG Mafia, which when I first heard it kind of caught me off guard, because delivery is very, very similar.
And then Arson, oh my god. Again with the repetition, but this song, I like the repetition in it. This song, one of those few exceptions. Because, like, I mean, what if is also one? Very clever. Colin, I think, really likes the instrumental to the song. It's one of his favorite songs on the album, I think. I don't know, don't quote me on this, Colin. That drum beat, yes, it goes. It just goes. The drums on all of these just go.
So that's it for the track list, and my afterthoughts would have to be, this album shows J-Hope experimenting a lot more with his music, which is really cool to see, knowing that it's coming from a normally mainstream pop artist that would appeal to people who listen to, like, only what the radio plays. And it's interesting seeing someone like this shine light on the experimental rap scene, or adding more experimentation into their music. I can totally respect all of it, and this is genuinely a really good project. Like I said, straying away from casual pop and mainstream stuff, and going for like a more left field style of production as well. There's also a lot of sampling going on, which is also really cool and I totally respect. Following up on this, there's actually a post J-Hope made where he showed an album by Lee Shuo called Monica, which is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I can totally tell that he had taken inspiration from that album and put it into this new album, because there's definitely a ton of similarities between those two. All in all, J-Hope experimenting with more non-mainstream styles of rap and going for a more old school and experimental style is really interesting, and I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did. So in total, my final score would have to be an 8 out of 10, which is a really good score for something that's coming from a BTS member.
Alright guys, that is J-Hope's More. I will now give it to Colin for the intro. Thank you for having me. Outro time! Alright guys, my camera just died, but just before I was about to do a rating, but my rating is a 7.5. I know it's crazy. Colin rated a BTS album higher than a BTS stan. That's crazy. Help.
Anyways, that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to go follow Noah SKRINDE on YouTube, as he added some more commentary onto this video for me. And that's about it. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.